Hi there. Welcome to the fourth day of my 30-day journey on fraction, where I attempt to solve all fraction-related problems that are essentially and specially picked from common entrance past questions, GCSE, SSE, and SAT, which is Standard Aptitude Test. Now, before I proceed on the lesson, please be kind and generous enough to click on the subscription button below this video to get notified of more academic and educative lessons like this, and especially the next episode of this video. See you in a moment. Welcome back. So our set of questions for today will be more focused on order of operations in fractions. So our first question for today says, find the value of 1/8 of 32 subtracted from 12. This is an easy peasy question. But then let's move on and solve the question. So 1/8 of 32, we are asked to find the value. So considering this statement, this command, meaning that we are meant to solve this, and before we proceed on to the next part of the information we are given. So find the value of this, and then when you got the value of this, it should be subtracted from 12. So straight away, we just simply write out this, which is 1/8 of 32. Now, this value, this fraction, this problem has to be solved before we proceed on to the next part of the information, as I said earlier. So now I'm going to rewrite these fractions to become 1/8. Then the off will turn to times, and then the 32 will be rationalized and become 32/1. Now, as we have been solving and learning, we've learned that when we need to operate on multiplications of fractions like this, we look for common factors of the numerators and denominator. So we have 32, we have 8, we have 1, we have 1. Okay, so 8 and 32 have a common factor. Don't forget that I said factors, common factors are numbers that can divide the number that can divide the same number. Okay, so the common factor of 8 and 32 is 8 itself. So 8 in 8 gives us 1, and then 8 in 32 gives us 4. Now, in the numerator, we are left with 1 and 4, and then in the denominator, we are left with 1 and 1. So 1 times 1 gives us 4, and then 1 times 1 gives us 1, and as we know, any number divided by 1 gives you the same number. So 4/1 turns out to become what? 4. Now, we found the value of this number, then it should be subtracted from 12, which is the next part of the information. The value of this is now 4 subtracted from 12. So I'm going to write out 12 and then minus 4. So 4 is going to be subtracted from this, and then we are going to get what? 8 as our answer. Let's go on to the next question for today. So now back to question number 2. Question number 2 says, what is the difference between 1/3/4 of 1/14 and 1/2? Now this question is not much different from the previous one. We have difference in the previous one, and then we have off in the previous one as well. So we just need to be calm enough to simplify and analyze the statement so that we begin to solve, and from there we get our final answer. So what is the difference between this and this? Now, this kind of question could usually be confusing for 4th grade learners and 3rd grade learners, which is particularly for them. So what is the difference between 1/3/4 of 1/14 and this? So what's the difference between this and this? So considering the sequence of the question, meaning that we have to work on this, and when we get our value, we then subtract it from this. Difference in mathematics means subtraction. So we write out the fraction 1/3/4 of 1/14. Just like we did in the previous one, we convert this mixed number into an improper fraction. So 1 times 4, don't forget how we convert mixed number to improper fraction. 1 times 4 gives you 4, and then 4 plus 3 gives you 7. So the improper fraction will become 7/4. Then off, we turn to times, and then we still have our 1/14. Now that we have this phase of fraction, then the next thing we do is to look for a common factor. How do we look for a common factor? We look for a common factor of the numerator and denominator. In the numerator here, we have 7 and 1. 1 is insignificant, so numerator is 7, and then denominator here is 4, and denominator here is 14. So we look for the common factor between 7 and 14, which is actually 7 itself. So 7 and 7 gives us 1, and then 7 and 14 gives us what? 2. Now in the numerator we now have 1, 1. So 1 times 1 gives us 1 all over 4 times 2, that gives us what? 8. Now that we've gotten the value of this, so the difference between this value and this, so we are going to bring out the number. Now, since they say what's the difference? Now, first thing you need to consider is between 1 over 2 and 1 over 8. Which one is bigger? Certainly, 1 over 2 is bigger than 1 over 8. When you want to subtract a number, you usually write the bigger number before you write the smaller number. When you're asked to find the difference between 4 and 6, you are not expected to write 4 take away 6. When you're asked to find the difference between 4 and 6, you are not expected to write 4 take away 6. You are expected to do 6 take away 4 because you are asked to find their difference. It's a different thing from when you are asked that take away 4 from 6 or take away 6 from 4. That way, if you're told that, you just express the statement as it is said. But in this case, they say find the difference, meaning that to find the difference, you have to put the bigger figure before the smaller figure. And then in this case, 1 over 2 is half of something, while 1/8 means 1 out of 8 of something. So certainly half is bigger than 1 over 8. So we are going to write half, which is 1 over 2, then minus 1 over 8. Now, as we've been doing, we find the LCM of 2 and 8, or the common denominator of 2 and 8. So the common denominator of 2 and 8 is what? 8. So then we use each denominator to divide the common denominator. Whatever answer we get, we use it to multiply the numerator. So 2 in 8 gives us 4. Then this 1 times 4, we bring out 4 minus. Then 8 in 8 gives us 1. Then 1 times 1 gives us what? 1. So 4 take away 1, that gives us what? 3. All over 8. So 3 over 8 is our final answer in this case. So the difference between this value or this fraction and this is 3 over 8. Let's go on to the next question. Now, let's look at the third question. Let's decipher the third question and solve it. The third question says, by how much is the product of 2 whole number 1 over 2 and 2 over 5 and 2 over 5 less than 4? Oh, okay, there's an error in the question. This part is not meant to be there. The next thing is less than 4. Less than 4. So again, by how much is the product of 2 whole number 1 over 2 and 2 over 5 less than 4? Now, just like the previous question, this is not much different from the previous questions too. Okay, so let's take it bit by bit and step by step. By how much is the product? Product in mathematics means times. Again, product in mathematics means multiplication. So by how much is the product of this number and this number less than 4? Less than here means minus. By how much is the product of this number and this number less than 4? Now, considering the sequence of the question, we have to find the product of 2 whole number 1 over 2 and 2 over 5 first of all. Then we now find out by how much it is less than 4. So let's write out the question. 2 whole number 1 over 2 product, don't forget, times 2 over 5. Product means times. So 2 whole number 1 over 2 times 2 over 5, which is the product of this. So and then we convert this mixed number into improper fraction, and that will give us what? 5 over 2. If you still don't remember or you still don't know how to convert mixed number to improper, don't forget, you multiply the whole number by the denominator, then you add it to the numerator. So 2 times 2 gives you 4. 4 plus 1 gives you what? 5 over 2. So 5 over 2 times 2 over 5. Now in situation like this, when you have a fraction multiplying a fraction, you find their common factor. So the common factor of 5 and 5 is 5 itself. So 5 will cross out 5, 5 will cross out 5. And then you have 2 here and 2 here. So 2 will cross out 2 and 2 will cross out 2. Meaning that automatically we have 1, 1, 1, 1. So 1 times 1 is 1 over 1 times 1 is still 1. So 1 over 1 will still give you what? 1. Now let's proceed to the next sequence of the question, which says less than 4. That means by how much is the value of what we have gotten in this product less than 4. So I know you're already cooking up the answer in your mind, but how much is 1 less than 4? So to find out by how much is 1 less than 4, which you might have gotten the answer in your mind, or certainly I believe you have gotten the answer in your mind, but how much is 1 less than 4? So we just simply write 4 take away 1, and that gives us what? 3. So meaning that this is less than 4 by 3. So which is our final answer. Let's go on to the next question, number 4. Now, this question number 4 is a typical question on order of operation. And in mathematics, to solve order of operations in fractions which are made up of multiple operators and multiple elements of numbers, we use a terminology, or I should say an acronym called BODMAS, which is B-O-D-M-A and S. So what does it stand for? B stands for bracket, Y-O stands for off, and D stands for division, M stands for multiplication, A stands for addition, and S stands for subtraction. So the order at which these letters are arranged is the order at which our fractions is going to be solved. So again, whenever you have a multiple element and operator fractions like this, you use your BODMAS to solve the questions. Okay, so now let's proceed on without wasting time. Now, since B is bracket, that means whenever we see bracket, we solve whatever is in the bracket first of all before we move on to off. And then we have off here. So we have to solve off before we solve division. Now that we've located off, I'm going to bracket out this part that is carrying off. So I'm going to bring out this part of the fractions with an arrow, and that is 1/3. So I'm going to convert the off to time so that I don't waste time. And then I'm going to write 2 whole number 1/4. Don't forget, I brought this into a bracket so that I can solve it first, because off comes before every other operator. So 1/3 is still 1/3. Off, I turn it to times as we've been doing, and 2 whole number 1/4 is this. So I'm going to rewrite the fraction because of space. So 1/3 times. So we convert this to a proper fraction, which will give us 9/4. 2 times 4, 8. 8 plus 1, that's 9/4. Now we find a common factor as usual. The common factor between 9 and 3 is 3 itself. So 3 in 3, 1, and 3 in 9 is 3. Now 4 and 3 are not common factor because 3 is a prime number, while 4 is an even number. So since there are no more common factors, to cut down the numerators and denominators, we write what we have left, which is 3/4, because 1 times 3 gives you 3 and 1 times 4 gives you 4. Now we've gotten the answer for the numbers, or for the operations, or for the fractions in the bracket. So let's move on to the next phase of the order of operation. The next one is division, which means that we have to solve this part of division before we then move on. So this part, which is division comes before multiplication. We don't have multiplication here. What we add was off, and the off is normal to be converted to times. If not, if we had times here, we are meant to solve division before we solve what? Times. But because this is off, so we always solve off before we solve what? Division. So I'm going to put this division into bracket as well. So I'm going to make an arrow to cut it, to bring it out, to supply it. Okay, 5 whole number divided by 2/15. Now this is whole number dividing a fraction. So I'm going to rationalize the whole number. Don't forget how you rationalize. You simply rationalize the number by making it over 1. So 5 whole number becomes 5/1, because 5 divided by 1 will still give you what? 5. And then the divide, I'm going to convert it to times as well. And then anytime we convert the divide, don't forget, anytime we convert the divide to times, the number or the fraction in front is going to be affected by inverting them. That means the denominator becomes numerator, the numerator becomes the denominator. So I'm going to have 15/2, different from what we added. Again, why this turned out like this is because division was converted into what? Multiplication. So converting now, making this 2/15 to invert. Now we can now look for a common factor of what can divide. Now we can't have a common factor that can divide, so we just multiply straight, because 5 and 2 are both odd numbers which cannot divide each other, and 2 cannot divide 15, there is going to be a remainder. Likewise, 2 cannot divide 5, there is going to be a remainder. So there is no common factor among them. So we multiply the numerator and we multiply the denominator. So 5 times 15, and that will give us 75 over then 1 times 2, and that will give us what? 2. Now this is an improper fraction, which means I have to return it back to a mixed number. So 2 in 75, how do you simplify this? 75 may be a big number for you, so how do you simplify it? You take it 1 digit by 1 digit. So how many 2 goes in 7? Definitely 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to say 2 in 7 is 3, because 2 times 3 will give you 6. And if you take away 6 from 7, you are going to be left with 1. So remainder 1. So I put the 1 behind 5. So 1 and 5 gives me what? 15. So 2 in 15, I will give me what? 7, because 2 times 7 is 14. So if you take away 14 from 15, there's going to be a remainder of 1. So our fraction, our mixed number is going to be 37. Our mixed number is going to be 37 whole number, remainder 1 over 2. Now, that is that about that. So, now that we solved this part of the division, so let's move on to this. We now have minus 3 left, and then we have plus here. So we are going to rearrange the fractions by going back to the beginning. In the beginning, we have 3 first of all. So 3. Then we have minus. So I'm going to write minus. Remember, the minus is in front of what we got here in this bracket, which is this first value. So 3 minus 3 over 4. Then the next value we have here is plus this, which is this that we just got. So this for this. And then this for this. So this is coming here to the middle, and then this at the end is coming here to the last. So I'm going to put the plus, the operator between them, and then the value is now 37 whole number, or let's say 37 and a half. Now in this situation, we now are now left with plus and minus. So we go back, we resolve back to our BODMAS principle, which says that multiplication comes before addition, while addition comes before what? Subtraction. So addition comes before subtraction, meaning that we have to solve whatever operands is between. Operand means the fraction between this plus. So, but that would be wrong, because this is a positive number. This is a positive number, and truly really following the principle means that whatever that is positive in the number has to be operated on before. So this is going to be rewritten as a positive number must go to a positive number, then a negative number comes last. That is the essence of this addition coming before what? Subtraction. So I'm going to write this 3 because it's positive. How do you know it's positive? Because there is no negative sign in front. Anytime you have a pure number that has no negative number in front, the natural number is positive. So 3 is positive, and then this is carrying a positive number, a positive sign. So plus being in front of 37 and a half makes it positive. So I'm going to write plus 37 whole number 1 over 2. Then negative 3 over 4 is negative because it's having a negative sign in front, so it comes to the end. So minus 3 over 4. Now we can operate on this like this. So this is easy, and it's getting easier. So we now have 3 whole number plus 37 whole number 1 over 2. Remember, when we are adding fractions that have whole number, we are going to add up the whole numbers first of all. So 3 plus 37, that gives us 39 whole number, and we are going to have 1 over 2, then minus 3 over 4. How are we going to go about this? Our 39 still stands, so I'm going to still write our 39, which is our whole number. Then we operate on only 1 over 2 minus 3 over 4 as our fraction. Now I'm going to rule a line for our common denominator. We find the common denominator of 2 and 4. Common denominator of 2 and 4 still gives us what? 4. Then we use each denominator to divide our common denominator. So 2 in 4 gives us 2. Use it to multiply your numerator, and that gives us what? 2. 2 in 4, 2. 2 times 1, 2. Then the operator between them is minus. So 4 in 4, that gives you 1. 1 times 3, that gives you what? 3. So then we now have 39 whole number, 2 minus 3 over 4. 2 certainly cannot take away 3. So what do we do? As we've been doing, we borrow 1 from 39. So we are going to have 38 whole number. And then in 1 whole number we borrow will become 4. So we are going to have 4 plus 2 minus 3 all over 4. So we are going to have 38 whole number. 4 plus 2 will give us 6. 6 take away 3 will give us what? 3 over 4. So our final answer is 38 whole number 3 over 4. So that is that about question number 4. So let's go on to the next question, which will be our final question for today. That is also a typical question on BODMAS, just for you to have a grip and proper and deep understanding of what of how to solve an order of operation. Let's go on to the next question. Okay, so in this question, it says simplify 3/7 of one whole number 2/5 times 12 whole number 1/5 divided by 3/5. Like I said earlier, when you have multiple elements of fractions or numbers and then you have multiple operators in the questions, what do? You refer to the BODMAS rule, which helps you to solve questions on order of operation and how to know which to start with and then which to end with. That's the essence of BODMAS, to know which to start with and then which to end with. So we have off as an operator, we have times as an operator, we have divide as an operator. So we have 3 operators and then we have 3/7, one whole number 2/5, 12 whole number 1/5, and 3/5 as their operands or elements. So now, which one do we start with? So we go to the BODMAS. BODMAS says bracket comes before off. We don't have bracket, but we have off. So we're starting with off. Don't forget. So I'm going to bracket out this off, and then I'm going to deploy it here in my solution space. So I'm going to write 3/7 off. I'm going to convert off to times, and then I'm going to write one whole number 2/5. I'm also going to convert it straight away just to save time. So that will give us 7/5. Now this is not alien. This doesn't come from no space. I converted one whole number 2/5 to 7/5. 1 times 2, 5, 5 plus 2, 7. And we are going to work on this. What's the common factor? We have 7, we have 7. So 7 plus 7, we have 1, 1. 3 and 5 are non-common factors. So what do? We multiply the rest of the number, which is 3 times 1, 3 over 1 times 5, 3/5. Now we solve this. Now we solve this. Let's go on to the next piece of the question. We have times and divide. Between times and divide, which one comes first? Division comes before what? Multiplication. So we are going to solve our division. I'm going to put it in bracket and then deploy it here. So I'm going to deploy it here outside. So that will be 12 whole number 1/5. And the divide, I'm going to turn it straight away to times. Don't forget. Turning the divide to times, we affect this number by making them to invert, by making the numerator invert with the denominator. So I'm going to have 5/3 instead of 3/5. Again, division turned to times, thereby making 3/5 to become 5/3. That's how you do it in all fractions whenever you convert divide to times, because we don't operate on fractions with division sign in their pure form. So 12 whole number 1/5 will be converted to become 5 times 12 is 60, 60 plus 1. 5 times 12 or 12 times 5 is 60, 60 plus 1, that's 61/5. Then the times in between and then 5/3. So in this part now, let's look for common denominator, common factor. So 3 and 61 have no common factor, but 5 and 5, they are common factor of each other, so they can cross out each other to get what? 1 more. So we multiply what we have left, which is 61 times 1, and that gives us what? 61/1 times 3, and that gives us what? 3. Now that we've gotten this part, then in between this and this we have multiplication, which is the last part, which is the last operator. So that means the value we got here times the value we got here. So the value we got here is this, and then the value we got here is this. So we are going to write them out in the next line, which is 3/5 times 61/3. In this case, we have a common factor of 3 and 3 crossing out each other to become 1, 1. Then 5 and 61 are not common factor, meaning that they can't divide each other. So I'm going to write out 61/5. But then this is an improper fraction. We can't leave it like this. An improper fraction is a fraction in which the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So, but then we can't leave this like this. It's just like a 7-year-old man, a 30-year-old man being carried by a 7-year-old boy. So 61/5 is inappropriate, is improper, so we have to turn them into mixed number. So 5 and 61 will give us 12 whole number, because 12 times 5 is 60. And when we take away the 60 from 61, we are going to be left with 1 then over 5. So 5 and 61 is 12 whole number, remainder 1 over 5. And that is the final answer for this question. And this is the final part of our work for today. So please don't forget, be kind and generous enough to click on the subscription button below to get notified of more academic and educative lessons like this, and especially to get notified for next episode of the 5th day of my journey, of my 30-day journey on fraction. See you tomorrow.